Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to begin. For this occasion, we thought we'd open with the now defunct Rabbinic Search Committee doing a choral rendition of Shechianu. Saul and I were even prepared to splurge on a gospel choir to sing Hallelujah. But Toby Hollander and our excellent partners have instead prepared a special tribute to this new beginning for our shul following 25 years of Rabbi Bieler's outstanding leadership. To help us celebrate, we thank the following individuals who are here this evening: Rabbi J.J. Schachter, Rabbi Yaakov Halperin, Rabbi Millen, Rabbi Merkin, Rabbi Nisan Antin, Rabbi Uri Topolovsky, Rabbi David Rosenbaum, Rabbi Amnon Haramati, and Yehuda Neuberger, who is a representative of the Orthodox Union, who's come here from Baltimore to join us. We also want to give special thanks to Rabbis Ari Israel and Avi Weinstein for their help throughout the interim time, for their guidance in the search, and for their general wisdom. We also want to thank Dana Marlowe for his assistance tonight in making our shul so inclusive throughout the entire search process. This is officially called an installation. But since that sounds like we're plugging in a new appliance in the shul kitchen, I've decided to use a more respectful term brought to my attention by the person in our house who uses the Queen's English, a term I thought a loyal Canadian would appreciate. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rabbi Weinberg's coronation. As we welcome him, his wife, our new Rebbitzin Ilana, and their children, Joseph, Riva, and question mark. At such a formal affair, no one would want a cell phone going off and playing an embarrassing tune from The Lion King or Meatloaf in our beloved sanctuary. This could be you. Please take a moment to turn off your cell phones and give proper honor to this evening's speakers. You can play Candy Crush later. And there will be many speakers, but have no fear. Rabbi Weinberg has already learned what happens to a speaker who goes on too long at KMS. And it's a real one. Last year, on November 2nd, I had the job as co-chair of the search committee to call Rabbi Weinberg and let him know that he missed the official deadline to submit his application by 1 day. Not that we at KMS are too rule-oriented, but his application came in at exactly 2:47 p.m. I was teaching in Miami, and in between classes called him to say sorry, but we were not taking further applicants, and to tell him that there was a typo in his resume. None of us had ever heard the name Brahm, so we assumed his name was Abraham, and he might want to correct that when he applies to other shuls. But by the end of the call, I had to text Saul to tell him it was time to bring the band back together. Here was a man who in a half hour displayed sincerity, thoughtfulness, a real sense of menschlichkeit, and a deep commitment to being a rabbi. I'm glad to say we broke our own rules, and we'll be breaking them again tonight. You've all received a program. I hope you read it. Now ignore it. Rabbi Schachter would like to introduce Rabbi Weinberg later in our program, and we're touched by this change. Our first speaker this evening is one who tries to keep us all playing by the rules, and that's Benny Berkowitz. I'd like to welcome our fearless president to the podium for his opening remarks and thank him for the astute and patient guidance he offered us throughout this process.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Erica. Welcome. I've been given the honor of providing the opening remarks for this evening. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you here today. As Erica alluded to, this has been a long process. In fact, it's been over 2 years in the making. Over 2 years ago, the Rabbinic Transition Committee was formed, focus groups were held, surveys were filled out, and you know the rest. I want to especially thank a few people: Joey Turitz, our former president, for starting the process, Daphne Raskis for leading the Rabbinic Transition Committee, Saul and Erica for co-chairing the search committee, and Toby Hollander for putting together this wonderful evening for all of us. But what message can I provide to you tonight? I was looking through the recent stories in the Torah to try to see if there's anything that might provide guidance for this. Of course, I was thinking about this a few weeks ago. So I was thinking about the interaction between God and Abraham at the beginning of Parshat Vayera a week ago, when God comes to visit Abraham. The rabbis tell us that God appeared to visit Abraham in order to visit him as a sick person, to do Bikur Cholim. But the Torah is very scant in telling us about this interaction. All it tells us is that Vayera elav Hashem, God appeared to him. And the rabbis tell us that he was visiting the sick. I always found it odd that the verses don't tell us anything about the conversation they had. It seems to me that if we're learning an important act of chesed from this interaction, we might want to know, what did God choose to speak about, to give us some guidance when we're interacting with the sick, and what to talk about, how to deal with it. I think there's an important lesson from this interaction that is applicable to my opening message. The verses don't tell us what God says because there are times when the most significant part of an interaction is just that the other person knows that someone is there, that someone cares, that someone appeared. Sometimes when you might go to visit the sick, you might think, I don't know what to say, I don't know where the conversation is going to go. But by the fact that the verses do not tell us what God and Abraham spoke about, the lesson to us is that the most important thing to Abraham is to know that there's a family out there, there's a community out there are people out there that care for them. The sick person won't remember the topic of the conversation that happened, but they will remember that someone came together with them, someone appeared and someone cared. And that will stay with them, and that act of chesed will allow them to feel better. Today we gather as a community to celebrate the installation or coronation of Rabbi Weinberg. Other people will be more eloquent and provide you with more thoughtful speeches. So my message to all of you is to thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of our community. And thank you for allowing all of us to be part of this wonderful celebration on behalf of Rabbi and Ilana Weinberg. Like the conversation of Abraham and God in Vayera, nothing I can say will really be significant enough to remember. But I hope that the sense of community and family, the excitement of welcoming Rabbi and Ilana Weinberg into KMS, the community, and the greater Washington area will stay with you. The sense of community that you feel and excitement that we share should stay with us forever as we think about this night. May this be the beginning of a long and fruitful relationship that lasts and stays with us for many decades to come. Thank you.
To welcome Rabbi Weinberg to the community of his rabbinic colleagues, I would like to call up Rabbi David Rosenbaum, Senior Rabbi of Young Israel Shomrei Emunah and the head of the Washington Vod. Rabbi Rosenbaum was also an important and wise guide to us during the search, and he's agreed to lead our kahila in the recitation of Tehillim so that we don't forget the sacrifices of our Israeli brothers and sisters in these dark hours, even as we celebrate. Rabbi Rosenbaum.
Thank you very much. We'll say Psalm 121 responsively. I believe there are cards in the program. Shir lamalos, esoinai al heharim, meyayin yavo ezrim. Ezrim meyim Adonai, yosei shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha, al yonom shomerecha. Hine lo yonom v'lo yishan, shomer Yisroel. Adonai shomerecha, Adonai tzilcha, al yad yaminecha. Yomam Hashemesh lo yakeka, v'yareach baloila. Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra, yishmor es nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzeischo voecha me'ata v'yad olam. I'm really quite honored to join you here this evening, particularly looking around, seeing so many distinguished rabbinic figures within our community. I'm humbled to have this very special role. I was very clearly informed of the importance of brevity for my remarks, but Erica's visual aid has brought that home in a stronger way. I just hope no one from Shomrei saw that one. Just very, very briefly, when I heard the news that Rabbi Weinberg was elected by your lovely synagogue, the comment that people kept on saying to me about Rabbi Weinberg, you'll love him, he's such a nice person. Okay, very nice. I had a phone conversation with him soon afterwards. I don't think I've ever said this about someone. I felt like I could hear his smile on the phone. So I thought to myself, he seems like a very nice person. I wish him well. I wish the synagogue well. And then I got to know him. I hope to get to know him much better over the coming years, God willing. But over these past weeks and months, I've gotten to know him. And whereas at first, you see a nice person, there's so much more there. I'm sure I'm telling you something that you all have seen already. But it's been a wondrous thing in such a short time to see a true sense of empathy, a true warmth, a true understanding of people, a true sense of conviction, a true sense of thoughtfulness, and a person who clearly lives with a tremendous passion for moving his congregation forward in all ways. And I don't know of another person of whom I built such an impression of in such a brief time. And I'm sure many of you have been thinking the same thing over these past days, weeks, months. And just so no one pulls out the hook on me, I want to say how happy I am for your lovely, lovely congregation. You have found such a worthy successor to your esteemed first rabbi. How happy I am for Rabbi and Mrs. Weinberg, such a lovely couple, how fortunate they are to be a part and take a leadership role in such a special group of people. And to be very candid, how happy I am for myself. I really, in this brief period, I'm so excited about partnering with Rabbi Weinberg in so many different ways. And I firmly believe I'm acquiring a very special friend for myself. So I wish you all mazel tov, much, much success. And I look forward to working with Rabbi Weinberg for many, many years to come. Mazel tov. Mazel tov.
Thank you, Rabbi Rosenbaum. We in KMS take the expression Lodor Vador from generation to generation very seriously. And with that, we'd really like to welcome Rabbi Weinberg's parents and Ilana's parents and her bubby, because that's one generation that helps us understand what our future vision is by looking at who raised us, who raised them. As we know, KMS takes great pride in its youth programming, in its youth minyan, in its junior congregation, in its youth choir. Every year we watch kids leave our shul and take leadership roles in universities and hillels across the country and close to home. It was a selling point to every rabbinic candidate. And this evening would not be complete if we didn't have a youth representative. So I'd like to invite, as our youth representative tonight, a native Camp Million, the oldest of 4 children, a senior at Berman Hebrew Academy, a B'nai Akiva Madricha, the lovely Rena Wasserstein.
יהושע בן פרחיה אומר, עשה לך רב, וקנה לך חבר, והבא דם את כל אדם לכף זכות. Yoshua ben Prachya in Perkei Avot, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Vav, said, find yourself a Rav, buy a friend, and judge everybody fairly. Sforno explains the link between buying a friend and judging everybody fairly. Unless one judges others favorably, he won't have friends and be alone. I think this connection actually goes back one step. The idea of finding yourself a Rav, buying a friend, and judging everybody fairly are not separate. Finding yourself a Rav leads to the other two. When you have a spiritual and educational leader, you're able to go and lead a Torah lifestyle, creating positive relationships and judging everybody fairly. Once you open yourself to this learning and start forming relationships, you're able to learn from everybody around you. Like Rabbi Chanina said in Tanit, which I'm actually learning in the Chavrita with Mrs. Weinberg. Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. Harbe lemadati mi rabotai, u'mechaverai yoter mi rabotai, u'mitalmidai yoter miklan. Much I have learned from my teachers, more from my colleagues, and even more from my students. The process begins with a rabbi who sets up the ideal of Torah study and is a positive role model and continues with you your whole life. I had a conversation with my mother a few months ago about the new rabbi. I asked her, why does this affect me at all? I'm a senior. This is my last year at home. I don't need a new rabbi. What connection can I make in a short year? The answer became very clear very quickly. Even if in the beginning I wasn't looking for a relationship with Rabbi Weinberg, it was very clear he was looking for a relationship with the youth. I felt his presence in the community immediately. He seemed to know my name before I even knew his, and I was one kid out of the whole community. Rabbi Weinberg has made numerous efforts to be involved with the youth, from hosting an open house to giving a really powerful Ask Me Anything session, which he opened the forum to any questions about faith, Israel, or himself. I've already learned so much from Rabbi Weinberg. He has set up a positive role model of inspiration and learning, as I saw from the clear answers he gave to the questions we had. He strives to create positive relationships with the youth of the community, and I think is an inspiration for others to do the same. The youth are also very excited for this relationship, and some of the younger kids made a surprise gift for the Weinbergs. So on behalf of the youth of the congregation, I want to welcome Rabbi and Mrs. Weinberg and look forward to many years of learning and growth together.
Rabbi Weinberg, at this coronation, we offer you no crown. We're still paying down the mortgage. But we do have a modest presentation of gifts with which no local rabbinic position could be complete. So I'd like to call up my partner in crime and good friend, Saul Newman, to the podium for the next segment of tonight's program.
I just want to take advantage of this moment with all these distinguished people here to point out that the Weinbergs came from Montreal and the Rosenblums came from Young Israel of East Brunswick. It happens to be that the largest modern Orthodox synagogue in Montreal is presently looking for a rabbi, as is the Young Israel of East Brunswick, where the Rosenblums daven. So if you have any recommendations, please give them, but be very careful who you recommend. I've been asked to present, to help introduce the presentation of gifts to Rabbi Weinberg. We have 5 gifts we're going to be giving to Rabbi Weinberg in a minute. A book from Rabbi Sachs, a book from the Rav, a certificate of a tree planted in Israel, a ceremonial key to KMS, and a plaque. But before we do that, this is a very emotional moment for me. I feel like prose can't convey the emotion of the moment, so I've written a poem for the occasion. Ode to the Rabbi. Our story begins in a dark foreign place, in a land just above us with much empty space. From a bilingual town, the true great white north, from the home of the Habs, a young rabbi came forth. A young Rabbi Brahm, a thoughtful, smart Jew, a man of great learning with a name shared by few. We are very grateful the long border he crossed and came to our climes where he could surely defrost. He learned from the best, a smicha from Reitz, while learning in Kollel performed Talmudic feats. From Dallas to Great Neck on to Hartford the West, to all we are grateful for training the best. Now that you've come, we welcome you home and prepared some advice so from here you don't roam. Don't mention you're foreign. It's not seen from appearance that you are not worthy of a security clearance. Some members are spies, in this you must trust. Don't ask what they do, if first kill you they must. Beware of the partisan when using rabbinical clout, and make sure if you vote, there are no members about. Some hail to the Redskins, they love the home team. When asked of the name, just change the whole theme. Costco or Shalom's, where do you buy? By bulk or by tribe, best don't reply. Watch out about pizza, they will ask you to choose. Ben Yehuda or Nut House, you can't win with us Jews. In no time at all, your ears will just rings when a guest from New York says they love Silver Springs. Just tell them our shuls are just tiny specks. They are clearly dwarfed by a place called T-Nex. If you are challenged by our capital city, we'll give you advice from a brand new committee. How does our shul work? Have a speech that's a beauty, but downstairs you must go because you're on Kiddush duty. All members are machers. We each know what's best. With so many bosses, you are truly blessed. We love our bureaucracy. Through meetings we plod. It may only get worse if we get a third VOD. We look for your guidance to stop us going astray. If you're not sure what to do, we can run a survey. To help you feel welcome in this large, daunting place, we purchased some gifts, which upon you we do grace. Because you are our leader, we present you the key. It is quite unique. It's copy 203. The rest of our gifts grant you powers unseen, but of course you would get them if you just turned 13. Svarim from Gedolim, from Rabbi Sachs and the Rav, to give you some mentors you must soar above. Because now you are rabbi of our special shul, the most brilliant and modest. We are nobody's fool. In addition to that, we pay J&F a fee. We are very skeptical. They claim there's a tree. We all went to Israel to see it right there. We still cannot find it. We looked everywhere. Last but not least, we got you a plaque so members can find you and dish out their flack. But all joking aside, we are truly thrilled that you are our rabbi, for you are truly skilled. To you and Ilana and 2 Weinbergs more, we send you our love. It is you we adore. In Torah and Midot, you will nurture our growth, both members and rabbi, enriching us both. But remember this truth and all will be right. All of us members look to your light. So harness our work and create so much more. Take us much further as together we soar. On that note, I would like to call up the first and founding president of KMS, Jackie Rosemarin, who is here, I believe, yes, to give Rabbi Weinberg his gifts. Jackie likes long introductions.
Not.
Here you go, Jackie.
Thank you.
Here's the piece.
I had to say something, you know.
I feel like a bar mitzvah boy.
As you can understand, this is a very emotional moment for me. In the fact, it feels like I'm passing the baton of our 25 years at KMS to you. And now we start a new chapter, a Perek Bet, and we are looking forward to writing the future together with you and Ilana.
Thank you so much. Wow.
You want glasses?
always like to add something to the bar mitzvah. Rabbi Jacob J. Schachter is a professor of Jewish history and Jewish thought at Yeshiva University and a senior scholar at the Center for the Jewish Future. He's held numerous prestigious rabbinic positions, but he comes here tonight in a different capacity, as a friend to the Kent Mills Synagogue. His behind-the-scenes counsel during the search showed sensitivity at every turn. He always made time to take our calls and to share his thoughts. He was and is a personal mentor, and I'm always grateful for his sage words. Rabbi Weinberg, who better to crown you at your coronation than a rabbi who truly wears a Keter Torah? Rabbi Schachter.
Thank you, Erica, very much. Bershus Marada Asra, Rabbi Weinberg, Ilana, members of the Weinberg family, President Benny Berkowitz and leadership of the shul, rabbis and communal leaders, members of the Kent Mills Synagogue. It's a great honor for me to be here. Because it's not the first time that I'm here, I don't remember which stories I shared with you the last 2 or 3 times that I was here. So I'm gonna take a gamble and share a story. And if you didn't hear it, that's great. And if you heard it, humor me and maybe chuckle a little bit at the end of the story. So we're coming up to the holiday of Hanukkah. And there is a very small town in Eastern Europe that wasn't sure exactly about what to do when it came to lighting the Hanukkah candles. They were very poor. As soon as the boys became bar mitzvah, they had to leave, and they had to go to help the family eke out a parnasa, a livelihood. They weren't terribly knowledgeable. They weren't terribly halachically sophisticated. But they had a rabbi, they had a Rabbi who was a wonderful man who knew everything. And their practice was that before the holiday, as the holiday was about to arrive, they'd go to the rabbi's house, and they would see the way the rabbi did that particular mitzvah. They would inhere in every move of the rabbi normative halachic significance. They would go home, and they would do it exactly the same way. So it was the first night of Hanukkah. They weren't sure. They knew candles, one candle, they knew a shamus, right side, left side, window, where, wasn't 100% sure. So they go to the rabbi's house, and the rabbi's ready to walk in to light the Hanukkah candles, and everybody's gathered around. But the problem was that there was a broom in front of the Hanukkah candles. So the rabbi now has a dilemma. If I don't remove the broom, I won't be able to light the Hanukkah candles. If I remove the broom, then all of these Zisavoila wonderful Jews are going to think that in order to light Hanukkah candles, you have to remove a broom. So he figured out that he had to remove the broom. And as he does so, he turns to them and he says in Yiddish, and I'll translate it, we're now in Eastern Europe. He says, I'm going to remove the broom, aber kinderlich ihr sollt wissen, das nit ledoiris. The fact that I'm removing the broom doesn't mean that the broom has to be removed for all future generations. What happened? They went home. They took a broom. They put it in front of the Hanukkah candles. They removed the broom and they said, Kinderlach is al wissen, das nit ledoiris. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Now, it's a very sweet Hanukkah story. It's one of my all-time high favorite stories. And the reason why I consider it so significant and the reason why it's so relevant this evening is not just because we're before Hanukkah, but because, in fact, the punchline of the story is wrong. Because, in fact, it is Ladoros. Because, in fact, what we do what we do in our personal lives and what we do in our communal lives is precisely Ledoros, in order to ensure the continuity of future generations. You are involved in this community not for yourselves. You're involved in this community for your children, for your grandchildren, and for future generations. You're involved in the school because you want there to be a place for future generations. Baruch she'achiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Today is a Yom Tiv. Today is a holiday in the Camp Mill Synagogue. Today is a holiday for the members of this great congregation, and today is a Yom Tiv for Rabbi and Mrs. Weinberg and for the members of their families. I want to begin with a huge Yasher Koach, a huge thanks for a job well done to the leaders and the members of the search committee. You have worked very closely with our office, with Rabbi Ronnie Schwartzberg at Yeshiva University. Rabbi Schwartzberg has repeatedly told me how impressed he was with the professionalism and the thoughtfulness of Saul Newman and Erica Brahm. I have never heard him speak with such admiration about a professionalism of a search committee. And Baruch Hashem, the results are obvious. You have chosen well in Rabbi and Mrs. Weinberg. This is the greatest testimony to your efforts and to the members of your committee. I want to thank Toby Hollander. Where's Toby? I want to thank Toby very much. I must have spent hours with Toby talking about making sure, arranging, fixing. You are blessed to have a community and to have a shul where Toby is involved and make sure that everything happens just exactly so. Thank you so much. I want to thank Nathan Diamond for keeping me company today in New York and keeping me company on the train coming down, and for driving me to the Butlers. And I want to thank the Butlers for probably the fastest and one of the most delicious dinners that I have had in a very, very long time. We gather tonight to celebrate this extraordinary couple, building on the legacy of Rabbi Bieler, who was your spiritual leader for so many years, and then being in a position in Mirz Hashem very, very soon to begin to place your own stamp on this shul and on this community. Tonight we celebrate new leadership, and we celebrate in particular new rabbinic leadership. The word leadership is overused in contemporary parlance, but I think the word is still extremely important. And I think that our tradition, Jewish texts, have wisdom to share on this whole phenomenon, on this whole value, on this whole concept called leadership. And I want to go this evening to an unusual source. I want to go to a Tosefta in Masaches Brachos. And I want to elicit from this text, the text has many ideas, just two ideas, that I want to share with my extremely beloved friend. You have no idea how precious and special it is for me tonight to stand here in front of my beloved chaver and colleague and to be able to welcome him on your behalf into your community. There were four rabbis, the story is told about four elderly rabbis who were sitting in the gatehouse of Rabbi Yehoshua. And the Tosefta actually tells us their names, four rabbis. Amar Lehen Rabbi Akiva, so now there's a fifth rabbi, and there's a sixth rabbi. One of them owns the gatehouse, four rabbis, and Rabbi Akiva. Amar Lehen Rabbi Akiva, Mipnei ma zacha Yehuda l'malchus. Why was Judah the one who merited kingship? What is it about him that merited that he should be the leader? Talk about coronation, malchus, kingship. What do you need in order to be a king? What do you need in order to be a leader? asks the Tosefta, Rabbi Akiva asks these rabbis, Mipnei ma zocha Yehuda l'malchus. Answer, number of answers. I want to choose first, Mipnei shehitzil es ochiv min hamisa. Because he saved his brother. Shenamar v'yomer Yehuda elechov ma'betzak hinara gesachinu l'chuvenim karenu liyishmael. Understand what's happening. There's a lot of tension and pressure in this family, and the brothers want to do away with Yosef. Yehuda says, that's not going to happen. Yehuda says that if somebody's hurting, and Yehuda says if somebody needs help, and Yehuda says that if somebody's vulnerable, and there's nobody there to stand up for them, I'm going to stand up for them. You know why Yehuda became a melech? Because it's not in the big things, it's in the little things. It's caring for people and extending yourself for people. And you have already learned in the very short time that Rabbi and Mrs. Weinberg have been with you, that this is a hallmark of his and their existence. It's caring about people. I can't tell you how many people said to me that tonight, oh my God, he knows my name. He knows my name. We even heard it tonight. He knows my name. That's amazing. I don't know how he does it. There are a lot of people in this shul. And it's just a small token of reaching out to every individual. A king is not a king because a king does big things. A rabbi is not successful because a rabbi makes big speeches. First thing, Mipnei Ma'azocha Yehuda L'Malchus, and L'Chvod, your new rabbi, because Mipnei Shehitzil Es Achiv, because he cares about another human being in the most profound way. And you're only beginning to know what this means. There's another significance here. You understand very well that each one of the other brothers wanted to kill him. When Yehuda says, no, l'chuvenim karenu liyishmaelim, he is going against the grain. He is going against the consensus. Everybody says one thing, and he says, that's wrong. That's wrong. It's not happening on my watch. It's very easy to be a leader when everybody agrees everything is perfect. It's harder to be a leader. And the hallmark of leadership is when you believe in something, you stand up against the consensus and then you convince everyone else that what you have to say is correct. And you lead by example. It's hard to do for a young rabbi right away, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen because Rabbi Weinberg is a visionary leader. And I know it because of my many conversations with him, with you, for years. And he's going to move this community. And he's going to build on the greatness of this community from the past, and you're all going to go along for an incredible ride, and you will all grow, because he understands just because it is, that doesn't mean it has to be, and things will change in ways that will be appropriate, and there will be a consensus. It's not always doing what everybody wants. It's standing up for things that you believe, and then you get everybody else to become a part of that. So the first answer in the Tosefta, it's actually the second, it's the first one that I want to focus on. Hallmark of leadership is to care about the little things. A hallmark of leadership is to stand up for something that you believe in. And then everybody else recognizes, oh yeah, that is really the way it should be. And then Tosefta has 2 or 3 other suggestions, and then each one Rabbi Akiva rejects. And finally they say, we give up. These 4 rabbis turned to Rabbi Akiva and said, Yelamdeinu Rabbeinu, you teach us. You didn't like any of the answers that we gave. Ela mipnei ma zacha Yehuda l'malchus, amar lohem lamdeinu Rabbeinu, amar lohem. Rabbi Akiva says, and this is the final answer. Do you know why Yehuda merited kingship? Mipnei shekidesh shemo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because he sanctified God's name. When did Yehuda sanctify God's name? Shekish'olu shvatim va'amdu al hayam. You remember that fateful moment after the Jews left Egypt, and now they're coming to the sea, and the sea is churning in front of them, and Paro's armies are in pursuit behind them, and they don't know what to do. Zeh omer ani yored, v'zeh omer ani yored, the version of the Tosefta, it's a machlokas in the Gemara and Sota. Those of you in Daf Yomi are going to get up to it pretty soon. The version here is, which is the version that I don't really believe, each one said, no, I want to jump in. Ani yored. The other version in the Gemara is, each one said, Ein ani yored. What, I'm going to jump in? B'vakasha. You usual. Who am I? I'm a nobody. You jump in. You jump in. Nobody wanted to jump in. And what happened? Kafatz, shifto shel Yehuda, v'yard b'yam tchila, v'kidesh, shmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what's the name of the person who jumped in? Nachshon ben Aminadav from the Shevet Yehuda jumps in. Yehuda is worthy of kingship because Yehuda was Mekadesh Shem Shamayim, because he sanctified the name of God. I don't understand this answer. My question is, Yehuda didn't sanctify the name of God. Who sanctified the name of God? Nachshon sanctified the name of God. We're talking 5 generations down the line. Why does Yehuda merit kingship? Because 5 generations later, one of his descendants is going to jump in, and the answer, I think, is clear, and the answer speaks to the greatness of this congregation and to the extraordinary greatness of this rabbi. You know why Yehuda was Zochel Malchus? You know why Yehuda merited kingship? Because Yehuda set up a space. Yehuda set up a context in his family that was so meaningful and that was so inspiring, that had an impact on a child, that had an impact on another child, that had an impact on a grandchild and on a great-grandchild, so that finally 5 generations later, when the Jewish people needed somebody to jump in, it was an Einikel, it was a grandchild of Yehuda who was going to jump in. The Elter Zaidi gets the credit because the Elter Zaidi set it up. He set up a context. He set up a space. He set up a family. He set up a space with values that was so centrally important, that gets transmitted from generation to generation, so that when push comes to shove and we need somebody to extend themselves, that child from that family is going to be the one who's going to jump in. A king is somebody who sets up a context. A successful rabbi creates a communal space of meaning and a communal space of inspiration. That's the role of a rabbi. To have a space, not just the physical space of this room and of this building, but a virtual space and a physical space. A space where people feel inspired, where people can grow, where people can connect to God, where people can be educated about Jewish tradition, where children feel that the rabbi cares about them and that they feel closer to the tradition. We're living in very complicated times. We have to fight to keep our kids following the values that we consider to be important. And if the rabbi can create a communal space, as your rabbi will, where children are going to feel comfortable, then they're going to want to be connected. And they will teach their children. And their children will teach their children. The space is a complicated space. The space has to be filled very often by opposite and maybe even sometimes mutually exclusive values. You need to have the structure and you need to have spontaneity. You need to have the formal and you need to have the personal. You need to have the inherited and you need to have the innovative. And to negotiate this, you have elected Rabbi Weinberg. I first met Rabbi Weinberg, we're now coming up in about 3 months to 10 years. Shortly after I came to Yeshiva University in the spring of 2006, my first year at YU, I taught a course in the Azrieli Graduate School. Rabbi Weinberg was in my class. He wrote a paper in 2006 on this very subject in the context of tefillah. If there ever is an area where these issues come head to head, it's in the area of tefillah, structure and spontaneity, formal and personal, inherited and innovative. He wrote a wonderful paper. I have his paper. The paper is entitled, Wednesday, May 24th, 2006, Prayer as a Call to Personal Autonomy. I want to read to you the letter that I wrote to him on June 6, 2006, when I returned the paper to him. Dear Brahm, thank you for your paper. I enjoyed reading it. It met the high standards that I've become accustomed to expecting from you. Your paper was well organized, clearly written, cogent, coherent, and convincing. I have nothing to add here to the comments I made in the body of the text. It's been a privilege to have you as a student, and I certainly hope that our relationship is just beginning. In the meantime, have a wonderful summer. Sincerely, Jacob J. Schachter. And then I wrote in my handwriting, paper, A+. Final grade, A+. Parenthesis, I think, though, that the highest grade you could get is an A. This is Rabbi Weinberg, and we've been in touch. And it's been a blessing in my life to have had the opportunity to watch Rabbi Weinberg from Dallas to Great Neck to Hartford, and now, Baruch Hashem, to be Ole Legedula, to be able to come to this extraordinary space and place. What a rare combination he has. He's a Talmud Chacham, you know already. He's smart, he's learned, he's a visionary, and he's warm, and he's caring, and he's thoughtful, and he's kind, and he's sensitive. I could probably count on maybe a hand people that I know who combine these two different sets of qualities to the level that your rabbi is able to combine them. You are a great community. I've traveled to many different communities for Shabbos. And whenever I come to this community for a Shabbos, I am extremely taken by the vibrancy, by the passion, by the learning, by the commitment. And this is an extraordinary shidduch. This is great for you, and it's extraordinary for the Weinbergs. I want to conclude by borrowing from the reshus that we say to the Chassan Torah on Simchas Torah. And for me, this deeply and personally expresses the brachos that I think all of us want to give to Rabbi Weinberg tonight, and that I certainly want to be a part of. Uvechen yehi ratzon milifnei hagevura. May it be God's will. L'seis chayim v'chesed v'nezer v'atorah. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bestow upon you life and kindness, and actually a crown, atara, a crown. L'harav Binyamin Mendel ben Moshe Yaakov v'Leah Malka. Shenivchar Lemorda Asra Bekihila Kedosha Kemp Mill Synagogue. You ought to have a Hebrew name for your shul. It would have come in handy, like right now. But it's okay. It's beautiful. If Rabbi Weinberg thinks it's important, he'll work on it. If he doesn't, forget about it. Shenivchar Lemorda Asra Bekihila Kedosha Kemp Mill Synagogue. La'amtso, to strengthen you. Levarcho, to bless you. Ulegadlo betalmud Torah, to make you great in Torah. Ledorsho l'chayim, to seek you out for life. Lahadro, to glorify you. Levado bechabura, to establish you in the chabura, in the community, in the rabbinic community, in your synagogue community, in the larger community. Lizakoso, to give you merit. L'chayoso, to give you life. L'takso b'tekes ora, to place you in the council of the light of Torah. L'yashro, to grant you virtue. L'chalalo, to grant you distinction. L'lamdo lekach usvara, to teach you logic and to teach you wisdom. L'malto, to protect you. L'naso, to raise you up. L'sa'ado b'sa'ad berura, to give you all the support that you need. La'adno, to delight you. L'farnaso, to provide for you. L'tzatko ba'am nivra, to make you righteous among those for whom, the people for whom the world was created. Lekarvo, to draw you near. Lerachmo, to show you mercy. Uleshamro, and to guard you, and to protect you, mikol tzara v'tzuka, from any distress or any difficulty. Lesakfo, to strengthen you. Lesamcho, to assist you. Lesamcho beruach nishbara, to support you when things are complicated and things are difficult. Amod, Amod, Amod. Morenu Harav Binyamin Mendel, Ben Moshe Yaakov, Valeya Malka. Mora de Asra, Kehila Kedosha, Camp Mill Synagogue. V'sein kavod lekel gadol v'nora. You will be great honor for the great God who is so centrally important to all of us. Ubizchar zeh, and in this reward, in the reward of the goodness that you are and the Torah that you will teach and the menschlichkeit that you will model. Ubizchus zeh tiskeh mekel nora, may you have the merit. Liros banim ubnei banim, oskim batorah. We can't forget our own families. Baruch Hashem, you have a wonderful family. You should have the zechus that your own children should have the same values that you have as well. Liros banim ubnei banim, at the right time. Oskim batorah umekaimei mitzvos. V'sizke l'smoach b'simchas beis habechira. And you should have the zechus, the merit, that we should be zoche for the building of the Beit HaMikdash. Amod, 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 please come forward. Please stand up, please rise. May Rishus Kol HaKohol HaKadosh Hazeh, with the permission of this extraordinary gathering and of your holy community. Please rise, Amod, Amod, Amod. Morenu Harav Binyamin Mendel Ben Moshe Yaakov Valeya Malka, the Mora de Asra of this extraordinary congregation. Mazel tov to you.
On my way in here tonight, some of you asked me what I might be speaking about. I think some of you expected me to speak about who I was and where I came from and why I wanted to be a rabbi. Some of you expected me to speak about my vision for KMS and for its future. But I know deep down inside what most of you want me to speak about. That's the age-old question, the much-asked question, the much-pondered question, the question my parents ask me, question my in-laws ask me, question my kids ask me, the question my wife asks me: what does a rabbi do all day? This is probably the question I was most asked when I first became a rabbi, and a question I actually asked myself last year. Last year I took an early morning flight one day out of Hartford for a rabbinic interview in another city, not KMS. And as I boarded the plane, I thought to myself, what questions might the search committee ask me on this interview, and what answers might I give? And I thought that one of the questions might be, how do you spend your time? What does a typical day look like? So I thought about the day prior and what that day looked like for me. In the course of that one day, in a small shul, in a small community, I started the day with a bris, not just any bris, but the bris of a couple that I helped to marry, that I helped to bring together, that I helped with infertility issues, that I helped to reach this great moment of the bris of their son. And then I went on to mediate between a couple who was getting divorced, help them bring them closer to getting a get, getting a Jewish divorce. Then I visited a patient in the hospital who was recovering from surgery. Then I taught a class. Then I went to a rabbinic meeting at our local day school. Then I learned with one of my conversion candidates in the afternoon. And after Mincha Marav, I went home to eat supper and put my kids to sleep, and then go out to another meeting that evening. It was a day that ran the gamut of emotions, from sadness to happiness, from easy tasks to hard, from the mundane to the sacred. But it was a day that was not unusual and not atypical. It was a day that made me realize that at the core of all I did as a rabbi was one central foundation, one central idea, and one central word: relationships. The rabbi's typical day is a constellation of activities that revolve around the relationships and the connections with people. And that's exactly what it should be. That's an idea already expressed in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Thank you, Rena Wasserstein, for stealing my Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Rabbi Yoshua ben Parachia, as you so correctly noted, says, Aseh lecha rav uknei lecha chaver. Make for yourself a rabbi and acquire for yourself a friend. And I don't believe that Rabbi Yoshua ben Parachia was telling us two disparate statements. I believe that they're very much connected and very much dependent on one another. I believe what Rabbi Yoshua ben Parachia was telling us is Aseh lecha rav. As the Tiferes Yisrael, Rabbi Yisrael Lipschitz, in the 19th century commentary on this Mishnah notes, don't just choose any rabbi, don't just choose any teacher, but make for yourself a rav b'kihila, a community rabbi, a rabbi that becomes the spiritual leader, the spiritual mentor of a community. And by doing this, uknei lecha chaver, you acquire for yourself a chaver. Chaver not only as a friend, but chaver as chibur, as connection, as the place and the locus of a relationship. Because relationships are at the center of everything that a rabbi does. But of course, relationships are very complicated. And relationships are multi-layered. And so the Rambam pipes in on this Mishnah in his commentary, and he adapts the three levels of human interaction explained by Aristotle, and tells us that when things go really well, these three layers of human interaction come together and coalesce into one harmonious, enduring relationship. And those three levels are as follows. The basic level of human interaction is what the Rambam calls chaver ledavar, the utilitarian component of relationships. I have a lawnmower, but I don't have time to mow my lawn. My neighbor has time, but he doesn't have a lawnmower. So we partner together. And we utilize each other's skills and each other's assets to make it work. Don't worry, the Nathans and the Pinshots, I don't really have a lawnmower. Second level, if you reach it, of a relationship is chaver l'da'aga. That's the emotional component of relationship. We don't relate to other people only because of what we can do for them, but the way we relate to them emotionally, the way we empathize with them, the way we feel their joy and their sorrow. And the third and final, highest level of a relationship is what the Rambam calls chaver l'deya. That's a relationship of shared ideas, of shared values, of a shared vision. As the Rambam says, it's a relationship in which ta'avat shnehem v'kavanatam lematara achat. It's where their desires and their intentions are aligned towards one unified, singular goal. All three components of relationships are a critical piece of the relationship between a rabbi and a shul. There's the utilitarian component. The rabbi serves as a teacher. The rabbi serves as a posei. When you put your dairy spoon in your meat pot, you need to know what to do, so you come to the rabbi. And then there's the emotional component. The rabbi serves in a pastoral capacity, not only helping people in a utilitarian fashion, but relating to people, feeling for people, being there in the dark moments and the light moments on the roller coaster of life. Many rabbis and many shuls have achieved those two components of a relationship. And they do just fine. And they endure just fine. But it's the rabbis and the shuls that reach that third level of the relationship that are the ones that soar, They're the ones that are catapulted to incredible heights. I could have gone to many shuls in this country to be the rabbi, to be the teacher, to be the pastor. But I came to KMS because this is where I could share a vision and share a dream with my shul. This is a place where we could share an identity. We could share a vision of who we want to be, who we want to become, and how we want to get there and actually make it work. I came to KMS to share in the dream of making this place and sustaining this place as a bastion of Torah, of deep and introspective Torah, as a bastion of tefillah, of meaningful and decorous Torah, of spiritual tefillah, as a bastion of youth, engaged youth, youth brought to the fore in every respect of our shul, a bastion of modern orthodoxy. Modern orthodoxy, which is uncompromising and not embarrassed to adhere to halacha in the strictest of ways, and also not embarrassed to be engaged in the world in the ultimate sense of creativity and of involvement in every sense of the word. I came to KMS to share the dream of this place where we could be proud of Israel, speak of Israel, act for Israel, and feel for Israel every day of our lives. I came to KMS to share in the vision and the dream of a place of excellence, of professionalism, and of efficacy in everything that we do, and yet continues to be a place of warmth and of friendship at the very same time. I came to KMS because it is here that we share a vision and a dream to be the model and to be the beacon to shuls around the country and shuls around the world of all that can be accomplished in the positive relationship of a rabbi and a shul. I came to KMS because it's here that we share a vision and a dream of KMS as a place that changes people, that transforms people. I don't think I'm overstating the case, but everything we do here, everyone we touch, everyone we teach, everyone we daven next to can be transformed by their experience in this place. And every one of those changes, every one of those interactions can literally change the course of Jewish history. That's the shared dream. That's what can come of a relationship between a rabbi and a congregation. You know, when it comes to the paradigmatic relationship, the relationship of marriage, psychologist John Gottman says that shared vision of a couple is the key predictor to marital longevity and marital resilience through the ups and downs of marriage. So too with a rabbi and a congregation. When it comes to the relationship of marriage, success comes not from the union of two people who are identical to each other, but two people who are a little bit different from each other, who buy into what psychologists call the psychology of expansion, the psychology of growth, people who want to learn from each other, people who want to grow with each other. I didn't come to KMS because I'm the perfect rabbi. And I didn't come to KMS, I'm sorry to break it to you, but because KMS is the perfect shul. It's not. No shul is. And I didn't come to KMS because we are identical. I came to KMS because I felt that this was a place where we could build a relationship of trust, a relationship of faith that was safe enough and strong enough and comfortable enough to be able to learn from each other and to be able to grow with each other. We're only just embarking on this exciting journey together, but from my vantage point, the horizon that I see off in the distance is beautiful, and it's astounding, and it brings tears to my eyes. And most of all, I believe it's well within our reach. I truly believe that the hand of Hashem was very strong in bringing Ilana and I here to KMS. When I think back on my life, there are so many points in my life that could have taken me in a completely different direction, and yet they didn't. They ended up here in KMS, almost as if it was Bashert. And as we came here, we fell in love with this truly special place. Partnering with Hashem in bringing us here were so many other people without whom I would not be standing here today. Both Alana and I have parents who are absolutely incredible. Parents that raised us with good values, parents that raised us to believe in ourselves, parents that raised us with the expectation that we could be all we can be, parents that stood by us and stand by us, support us immeasurably in ways that all of you have no clue at every single step of the way. We're influenced and honored by the presence of our grandparents in our lives, and especially by the presence of our Bubby here this evening. Honored by the presence of my sister Melanie, surprise visit. Melanie, my true friend and my confidant. I wouldn't be here today without my own shul rabbi growing up, Rabbi Mordechai Zeitz, who taught me what it means to be a leader, what it means to take a shul from nothing and make it everything. And I have the luxury of coming into a shul that is already everything and being able to make it more, and that's incredible. I would not be here today if not for Yeshiva University. It's at Yeshiva University that I learned the bulk of my Torah. It's at Yeshiva University that I encountered Rabbeim who were giants of Torah, who I learned from. Rabbi Elchanan Adler, who was my Rabbi for 5 years, no stranger to this community. I see the Gasons here tonight, Rabbi Adler's in-laws, and they're so happy to have you here with us and honored by your presence. Of course, Rabbi Schechter, Rabbi Simon, Rabbi Maybrook, Rabbi Carmi, and so many more. It's at Yeshiva University that I was connected with incredible mentors, shul rabbis who have guided me every step of the way. Rabbi Pearl, Rabbi Polikoff, and of course, Rabbi Schechter. Rabbi Schechter, you've been a guiding force in my career and in my life. You've taught me, you've mentored me, you've been there to answer my questions day and night. You've guided me through the process of applying to shuls. You've guided me to be in this place at this time. And your presence here tonight means the world to me. I so appreciate it. I would not be here today, strange as it sounds, without the Young Israel of West Hartford. My 6 years in Young Israel, West Hartford, were such a positive experience that they made me want to be more of a rabbi, not less of a rabbi. And finally, last but not least, while everyone had a part in bringing me here this evening, the biggest part goes, of course, to Alana. Alana, shali shalach, whatever's mine tonight is truly yours. Alana, you're everything to me. Alana is there to tell me what I should say and what I shouldn't say, what I should do and what I shouldn't do. She's my moral compass, and she's truly the backbone of our family. She's there for our home and for our kids when I am often not. And I couldn't do anything that I do here in the shul if not for her. She's my partner, and she's my best friend. As I stand here tonight being installed as the rabbi of KMS, I feel humbled, I feel inspired, and I truly feel grateful. Grateful to all those who helped me reach this point, and grateful to all of you who have accepted me into this point, who have received me here in KMS. Thank you to Joey Turetz and Daphne Raskis, who long before my arrival started this process of transition and of the search. Thank you to Erica Brown, Saul Newman, and the search committee for doing an outstanding job. Really, one of the selling points of this community was the search and its process. I don't think that we would be here without that today. It made an incredible impression on us and really gave us insight into what this shul was all about. Thank you. I feel incredible gratitude to the executive committee, to the board, and especially to our president, Benny Berkowitz, who has been a great help to me over the last number of months, standing by me, supporting me, guiding me, and protecting me, showing me what I need to be involved in and what I don't need to be involved in, showing me where I need to be and what I need to do. Thank you for your guidance and for your leadership. I'm grateful, really, to Rabbi Bieler, who unfortunately could not be here tonight. Grateful for his menschlichkeit, for his yashrus, for his integrity, and for his hashkafa that helped to craft this incredible shul. Thankful to the rabbis and dignitaries, communal leaders who have joined us this evening, not only here tonight, but to all of you who have embraced me over the last number of months. Thank you to Toby Hollander and all of her committees for the welcome events, the kiddushes, the meet and greets, and of course this evening. thank you to Alan and to Brenda and to Sako, the staff here at KMS, who are really the ones that spend the most time with me day in and day out. And thank you for being there. Thank you to all of you here tonight. From the founding members to the newest members, thank you for building such an incredible shul. And thank you for welcoming us with open arms. You have truly followed the dictum of Rabbi Yeshua ben Parachia, Aseh lecha rav, ukneh lecha chaver. You've made for yourself a rabbi, and I hope you've acquired for yourself an incredible relationship of rabbi and community, a relationship that will only get stronger and move us to great heights. I'd like to end tonight with a tefillah, a prayer, quoted by the Torah in the Shulchan Aruch, modified by the Taz in his commentary to the Shulchan Aruch, a tefillah that's supposed to be said upon entering a beis medrash, upon entering the journey of learning and of growth, because I think it captures many of the aspirations that I feel here tonight for our journey of growth together. And I've adapted it to the plural so that it fits this evening's message. Yehi ratzon milfanecha, Hashem Elokai v'Elokei avotai, may it be your will, Hashem, our God and God of our forefathers, Sheta'ir einenu b'ma'or Toratecha, that you should enlighten our eyes with the light of Torah. V'tatzilenu mikol michshol v'ta'ut. Please save us from all distress, from all mistakes, from all stumbling blocks in our path. And most of all, gal einenu v'nabita niflaot mitoratecha. Open our eyes so that we should merit to see great wonders come from your Torah, the glory of your Torah that will come to fruition within the walls of this building and within the context of an incredible relationship between rabbi and community. Thank you.
Rabbi Schachter, we hope you'll give us that paper so we can photocopy it for all of our membership. Just want to make a clarification. During the Prabha, you told us we were the perfect community. We're doing this a little bit in reverse order. Our closing remarks, and I'll do the final, but throughout the search process, and in the beginning of the search process, Daphne Mreskis headed up a team of KMS members to research the transition process. We all made a lot of jokes about how at KMS we have to have a process for a process, a pre-committee for a committee, but without question, this transition process helped pave the way for the work ahead and prepare us as a congregation for the challenges and joys of succession. It's my great honor to introduce an active member of our shul, a former Berman Hebrew Academy president, current board president of the Sunflower Bakery, and one of my dearest friends, Daphne Mreskis.
Wow. Not sure why they asked me to wrap this up. Honored rabbis, community leaders, and guests. This week's Parsha describes how Yitzchak redug Abraham's wells and proceeded to rename those wells with the names that Abraham had given them. Our sages discuss Yitzchak's efforts to emulate Abraham's actions, and they question if he was able to achieve any renewal in his own right. According to Rav Adin Steinsaltz, Yitzchak teaches us the difficulty of renewal. Rav Steinsaltz claims that although all beginnings are difficult, as the saying goes, beginnings may not be as difficult as renewal. The challenge faced by Yitzchak and by second generations is often how to continue and grow and move forward with the same energy and inspiration as the founding generation. We know from family businesses how difficult renewal can be. Only 30% survive into the second generation, and only 12% are still viable into the third. Since a generation is often defined as a span of 25 years, We at KMS are in our second generation, and tonight is about our renewal. The transition committee, which I was privileged to chair, was charged with setting up a process to usher in this period of renewal. We were very mindful of the importance of the unique characteristics of KMS, for which we are indebted to Rabbi Bieler and the founding members of KMS. We also recognized that a new rabbi could be instrumental in our renewal. It was clear that a new rabbi would have his work cut out for him in a shul with so many traditions, not to mention committees and committees to form committees. Attempting to renew is not easy, and success is not guaranteed. There was concern, some might even say skepticism, about how we would navigate this transition and how we would emerge from the process. Many of you participated in focus groups, filled out surveys, and attended probas even in terrible snowstorms. You were quite generous with your feedback. Some might say too generous with your feedback. But I believe that this process, along with the many conversations in this shul and at Shabbat tables, and the standing room only gatherings in this sanctuary when people came to hear the candidates, helped us to begin a process of renewal, a coming together as a shul. A rabbi on the eve of his installation asked one of his congregants to explain why they were having an installation for him several months after he had already begun his position. The member looked at him and said, "Oh, Rabbi, you thought we were celebrating you. Actually, we're celebrating ourselves." Rabbi Weinberg, Ilana, tonight we are celebrating you, and we are looking forward to our shared dream and vision, and your vision. But we are also celebrating ourselves tonight for arriving at this point and for beginning our renewal. And now, a few important thank yous. Thank you to Rabbi Schwartzberg from the YU Rabbinic Placement Office for his wonderful guidance. Joseph Turetz, you're somewhere there, for your wisdom in setting up a transition process and the countless hours you spent working on it. And the search committee for expertly taking over where we happily left off. Finally, my greatest thanks goes to the members of the Transition Committee. You proved for me that good people whose views differ, but who share a common mission and values, can come together, listen to, and respect one another, and accomplish important and difficult tasks, including setting KMS on a road to healthy renewal. Thank you.
We have one more task for the evening before we enjoy the Parv dessert reception downstairs. Tonight, we installed our next rabbinic leader. And now, we must install ourselves as faithful partners and followers to ensure Rabbi Weinberg's success here at KMS. Som tasim alecha melech, Devarim tells us, surely you shall put upon yourself a king. We must place authority upon ourselves actively, som tasim, not passively, the pasuk reminds us. If we don't take followership seriously, we won't be led effectively. This requires us to be careful listeners, to be vigilant in protecting the ethos and integrity of this sacred institution we build together, to be honest with our rabbi, but kind in our feedback, to be courageous when necessary, and to be silent when silence works best. To respect personal space and boundaries, to be positive and optimistic in what we can accomplish together, to be grateful and to be generous in our compliments and our praise. Tonight, Rabbi Weinberg, we enter a covenantal relationship with you. We are honored to call you our rabbi, and we, in turn, must honor our commitment in this partnership to your enduring success. Thank you, good night, and please join us downstairs for dessert.